One of several new Christmas movies in 2024, Ben Stiller's heartwarming Christmas comedy Nutcrackers is now streaming on Hulu, and its ending is chock full of touching moments, reveals, and resolutions. Nutcrackers' cast of characters stars Ben Stiller as Michael, a wealthy commercial real estate agent living in Chicago who is called to act as temporary guardian of his four nephews, played by real-life brothers Homer, Ulysses, Atlas, and Arlo Jansen, after their parents tragically die in a car accident. In classic Christmas movie fashion, Michael must transition to life in rural Ohio and his nephew's farm. Over the course of the movie, Michael becomes better acquainted with this way of life, even killing a chicken for them to eat at one point, and he begrudgingly accepts the nickname Mike that he had resisted for the first half of the movie. Even as Uncle Mike, though, Michael is dedicated to getting all four boys adopted by someone else, as he feels he can't leave his job and life in Chicago to raise them. This culminates in a production of The Nutcracker, which is intended to get the attention of someone who could adopt them. Does Michael adopt his nephews in Nutcracker's ending? The future of the Kicklighter kids was uncertain until the end. Ben Stiller with kids in Nutcrackers. Throughout Nutcrackers, Michael is clear that he does not want to adopt his nephews. Initially, he believes he is only going to Ohio to sign off on some documentation so they can be fostered or adopted by someone else. When he arrives to the family farm, however, the boys' social worker, Gretchen Rice, Linda Cardellini, explains that due to the holiday season, it won't be easy to get them placed, especially together. Michael remains eager to get this done quickly because of a major work opportunity that requires him to return to the office in just a few days. This leads to a host of hilarious moments, including Michael taking the boys to a holiday party of a local wealthy man who expresses interest in adopting Michael's nephews until they drive a golf cart into a nativity scene. Even as Michael makes every effort to get another family interested, though, it's clear that Gretchen and all four boys are hoping Michael will stay with them. Justice, Homer Jansen, in particular frequently asks his Uncle Mike if he will be there when he wakes up in the morning. Nutcrackers holds out until the very end, but ultimately, Michael does agree to stay and raise his nephews. Toward the movie's end, Michael reveals his intentions to stay with them, and all four boys surround him in a hug, cheering about his decision. During the end credits, additional scenes confirm he kept true to his word. The boys are shown holding presents on Christmas morning, and in the final end credits scene, Michael and Justice take a brand new four-wheeler for a test drive, jumping the pool and the trampoline, which the boys have wanted to do since the beginning. The meaning behind Michael's dancing scene vision in Nutcracker's ending. Michael's vision is so much more profound than it first seems. Michael looking emotional in Nutcrackers. During the movie's final scenes, as the boys put on their unique production of the Nutcracker, Michael shuts his eyes and envisions himself throughout the movie's various scenes with his eyes closed. Then, his vision shifts, and, in tandem with the boys performing the Nutcracker, Michael envisions himself dancing alone on the family's farm. As the Nutcracker concludes, Michael opens his eyes to find Justice standing over him, offering his hand. It is then that Michael confirms he will be staying with the boys. After all, the meaning of this vision is multi-layered, each layer more touching than the next. On the surface, this is a visual representation of Michael deciding he will adopt his nephews. Much more is going on below the surface, though. As Michael's movements match his nephew's dancing, the vision becomes symbolic of him finally coming to understand the boys. Throughout Nutcrackers, their life in Ohio felt entirely foreign to Michael, from the boys being homeschooled to the house being filled with animals. As their movements come together, however, Michael finally truly connects with them. Subtly, this is also an homage to Michael's sister, Janet, who died. Janet was a dancer, and several times, Michael lamented his sister's decision to leave her life as a dancer in New York to live this life in Ohio. Michael comes to find out that his sister had a dance studio in Ohio he never knew about, though, and never actually gave up on her dream. It just looked different now. This vision of Michael dancing is a way for him to say goodbye to the sister he hadn't been close with in the end but clearly loved deeply. What happens with the Nutcracker performance in Nutcracker's ending? The Nutcracker performance doesn't go according to plan. Nutcracker performance in Nutcrackers. Although the boys did ultimately perform the Nutcracker, it didn't go at all the way Michael expected. The latter half of the movie was spent with Michael and his nephews preparing for a fairly significant production of the Nutcracker, even getting news coverage of the event and booking a theater in town. When one of the boys, Simon, overhears Michael telling Gretchen he can't raise four pain-in-the-ass kids, this plan is completely derailed. Instead of entirely abandoning the performance, the kids move the ballet to the streets, right beside the memorial to the boys' parents, where the couple sadly crashed. Heartbreakingly, Justice even says, "We're not dancing for Mike, guys. If we do this, we're gonna be dancing for Mom and Dad." Ultimately, the townspeople all move to that location, Michael among them, and they watch the performance to its end. Was there something romantic between Gretchen and Michael? Gretchen and Michael had chemistry, but their romance wasn't the focus. From the moment Michael arrived at the farm and met Gretchen, it was clear there was a spark. However, unlike many Christmas movies, this relationship was far from the focus of Nutcrackers. At one point, the boys tease Michael about liking Gretchen, but Michael and Gretchen never officially establish a relationship in the movie. The biggest hint about whether the two end up together comes in an end credits scene. As the boys are unwrapping their Christmas presents, Gretchen pulls up to the house on a motorcycle, and Michael goes out to greet her, handing her a gift. Although there is little intimacy beyond that, it seems clear they do get together. While it could be argued that Gretchen is just checking in, it would be a bit unusual for a social worker to do so on Christmas Day.